Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
I knew the second the words left my mouth that I'd gone too far. Not just crossed a line, jumped over it, torched the bridge, and danced on the ashes. But in the moment, I was pissed, and sarcasm is basically my native language. So when Derek asked again why I always bring up my ex during arguments, I snapped. At least Jordan was bigger. In every way. Yeah. I said that. And I said it like I'd rehearsed it, like I was proud of it, like it wasn't the verbal equivalent of taking a sledgehammer to a stained glass window. Loud enough for the neighbors to hear, loud enough to silence the hum of the fridge and the ticking of that dumb clock he loves. Loud enough that I can't unsay it even now. He was standing there with his keys in his hand, wearing that same olive green jacket he's had since college, the one I used to tease him about until I caught myself folding it carefully over a chair. His expression didn't change much, just a slow blink, the kind you do when someone says something so outrageous your brain short-circuits. And then he left. No yelling. No dramatic storm out. Just turned around, walked to the door, and slipped through it like a shadow. Quiet. Final. Like he was already halfway gone before I even said it. I didn't chase him. I told myself it was because I needed space too. That he was being overly sensitive. That he'd come back once he cooled off. But let's be honest. I was still high on the self-righteous adrenaline of someone who thinks she's won the argument just because the other person walked away. Only later did I realize he hadn't walked away, he'd walked out. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. We bicker, we sulk, we circle back to normal. That's our pattern. Derek makes tea, I scroll TikTok. One of us mumbles something halfway between an apology and a peace offering, and we move on. But this time felt different. He didn't take his jacket off the hook when he left. That night, I stayed in the kitchen longer than necessary, pretending to clean up while replaying the whole conversation in my head. It had started with something stupid. He forgot to pick up the dry cleaning and I snapped. It snowballed into every petty irritation I'd been letting pile up like dirty dishes in the sink. He's too passive. Too predictable. Too safe. And somewhere in the middle of my rant, I guess I wanted to hurt him. I wanted to say something that would make him flinch. So I reached for the sharpest thing in my arsenal, my ex. Jordan, the ex in question, was a nightmare in leather jackets. 6 feet of ego and danger with a jawline that could cut glass and a tendency to disappear for days at a time. But when he was there, he was there. Passionate, unpredictable, magnetic. Also emotionally unavailable, vaguely manipulative, and the kind of guy who thought, I love you, was a trap. But in that moment, all I could think about was how Derek never makes my heart race. How he's never once made me feel like I might fall apart if he left. Funny how that's exactly what happened. Let me pause here and ask, have you ever made yourself the villain in your own love story? Not accidentally, not in hindsight, but in real time? That's what this felt like. Like I was aware I was crossing a line and did it anyway, just to prove I could. Just to test how far he'd let me go. You think someone loves you enough to absorb that kind of hit and stay. Turns out, Derek has limits. And honestly, I don't even think I realized what I said until the door clicked shut. Not slammed. Just that soft, deliberate close that echoes louder than any screaming match ever could. I sat down at the table and stared at the chipped edge of my wine glass for maybe 30 minutes. That same glass Derek told me to throw out months ago, the one I kept because it still works fine. The one he'd probably still hand me out of habit without comment because that's who he is. Was. At midnight, I caved and texted him. You seriously left over that? Nothing. 20 minutes later. I was pissed, okay? Can we talk? Still nothing. I switched to email because maybe he blocked me. I even used the subject line, not what I meant, like that might soften the edges of what I said. But the message bounced back unread. So I did what any emotionally immature adult woman does. I opened Instagram and rage-watched his story to see if he was online. Of course he wasn't. But I saw he'd unfollowed me. After 3 years together. After a joint Spotify playlist and a shared Costco membership and Sunday morning Target runs where we'd argue over which throw pillows to buy. He just unclicked me out of his life. At 2 a.m., I reread our old texts like some tragic high school girl trying to figure out when the shift started. When I stopped seeing him as the man I wanted and started treating him like some stand-in until the next bigger thing came along. And here's the part one hate admitting even to myself. I didn't miss Jordan. I didn't even want Jordan. I just wanted the idea of something more. Something riskier, messier, more cinematic. Because Derek was too good at making life feel easy, and I mistook that for boring. God. I hate myself for that. And yet, some tiny arrogant part of me still believed he'd be back by morning. Or by afternoon. Or at least by the time the new week started. But when Monday rolled around and the door still hadn't opened, when his shoes still weren't by the mat, and his toothbrush was still untouched on the bathroom sink, that's when I felt it. The absence wasn't temporary. It was intentional. And me? I was the girl who said the quiet part out loud and lost everything because of it. It's been 4 days since Derek left, and not a single word. Not a text. Not a "we need to talk." Not even a passive-aggressive meme, which, let's be honest, would be totally on brand for us. He's just gone. And I know how this sounds, like I'm the villain in one of those breakup stories you read online where the whole comment section tears the woman apart. And fine, maybe I deserve that. But I wasn't trying to destroy him. I was just mad. Tired. Restless in the way people get when they confuse boredom for being unloved. I didn't know silence could get so loud. At first, I tried to wait it out. Thought maybe he just needed time to cool off. I made coffee like normal, left his mug next to the kettle like he might walk in and reach for it out of habit. He didn't. His side of the bed stayed made. The fridge still had that weird yogurt flavor he likes, but I always thought tasted like sadness. I threw it out on day 3. It felt like a betrayal. By day 5, I cracked and went full digital stalker. I checked our mutual friends' pages, trying to piece together if anyone had seen him, or worse, if he was talking about me. I saw one tag photo at his friend Caleb's place. He looked fine. Too fine. Same hoodie, same smirk, same relaxed posture that used to make me feel safe. No ring on his finger, though. I sent another text. Can we talk like adults? Please. Still nothing. So I called our friend Jess, hoping she'd say something neutral like, he just needs time. Instead, she sighed like I'd just asked her to babysit on her only free weekend. Haley, what did you say to him? I tried to laugh it off. It wasn't even that serious. Just a dumb comment. She paused. He told Caleb. You said your ex was bigger. In every way. I winced. I was angry. That's really bad, Haley. Yeah, no kidding. There was a long silence on the other end. Not judgment, exactly worse. Disappointment. Look, she said finally, you've always had a sharp mouth. But this time you cut deep. I tried to pivot. I didn't mean it like that. I was just trying to win the fight. That shut me up. Because yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. Not trying to resolve anything. Just trying to land the final blow. And for what? So I could stand in a kitchen full of unanswered questions and reheated regrets? It got worse when I saw Caleb at the gym. I waved. He didn't wave back. Just gave me this blank look like I was a stranger, like I wasn't the girl who used to host their game nights and bake cookies that everyone pretended not to like but always ate anyway. The next day, I bumped into Derek's sister at the store. I tried to play it cool, made some dumb comment about the weather, and she just looked at me and said, "You really screwed up, huh?" No hello. No hug. Just straight to the gut. I wanted to scream, you don't even know the full story. But what was the point? The full story didn't make me look any better. And here's the part that really stings. Jordan, the ex I used as a weapon? I reached out. Just to see. Maybe if I could talk to him, it would validate something I don't know. He didn't respond either. Not to my DM, not to the text that said, "Hey, long time." Not even to the one I sent after a few glasses of wine that just said, "You up?" Nothing. So now I'm blocked by the guy who loved me, ignored by the guy who ruined me, and ghosted by the ghost I tried to resurrect. You ever realize your plan B has absolutely no interest in being your backup? It's humbling. And not in the romantic comedy way where everything clicks into place in the final 10 minutes. No. This is the real life, look at yourself in the mirror and hate your own reflection kind of humbling. And still, I kept checking my phone. I left the ringer on even when I went to sleep, like some idiot hoping the universe would throw me a bone at 2 a.m. But it never did. Just silence and screen glare and that little green dot that used to mean he was thinking about me. Now it just means he's living life without me and doing just fine. By the end of week 2, the silence stopped being sad and started feeling personal. I tried to tell myself he was just giving it time, that maybe he'd reach out when the initial sting faded. But that theory crumbled the minute I showed up at the bar where his best friend works and got ignored so hard. I felt physically transparent. Caleb made a point of pouring drinks for everyone around me before finally asking, "You need something?" Like I was just another tab to close. I tipped him a 10 and left without ordering. I wish I could say that was rock bottom, but oh no, we were still digging. I started posting those cryptic Instagram stories you post when you're hoping someone Okay, Derek. We'll see them and read between the lines. A sad lyric. A picture of the moon. A repost about growing through what you go through. Which even made me cringe, but I left it up anyway. Nothing. Not even a pity view from a burner account. Then I did something even worse. I tried showing up by accident. I knew his gym schedule, his grocery store. Don't judge me. You've either done it or thought about doing it. The first time I wore makeup and that jacket he always liked, pretending I was just running errands. He saw me. He nodded. That's it. Just a nod. No smile, no stop and talk. Just the kind of acknowledgement you give to your Uber driver in traffic. It gutted me. That night I wrote him an email. The longest one I've ever written. It started out as an apology and devolved into a confession. I told him everything, how I felt invisible, how I lashed out because I thought he wouldn't leave, how I was stupid enough to weaponize the one person who hurt me most just to hurt him too. I didn't hear back. Not even a read receipt. And I know what you're thinking, why not just move on? Find someone else. It's not like I don't have options. My DMs are a graveyard of hey stranger and dinner offers from guys who think a forehead kiss counts as emotional maturity. I went on one date. Just to prove I could. He was fine. Said all the right things. Paid for my drink and complimented my eyes. But when I made a joke about how bad I am at bowling, he said, "Oh, I'd never take you bowling on a first date." And I blinked. Because Derek did. He took me bowling on our third date because I told him I hated anything competitive. He brought those goofy socks I like and let me win even though he was actually pretty good. Afterward, he massaged my wrist like I'd actually strained something and told me I was intimidating when I smiled. Who says that? That man learned how to make my favorite pancakes from Pinterest because I once mentioned them in passing during a grocery run. And I reduced him to a punchline. God, I want to crawl into a hole. You know what really got me though? Running into his cousin at the farmer's market. She saw me buy the tomatoes and actually turned around and walked the other way. Like I'm radioactive. I went home that day and stared at my reflection for a solid 15 minutes. Not in a cute self-love way. In a who even are you way. Because the woman I saw wasn't someone Derek would want to come back to. She wasn't even someone I wanted to sit next to. So I did what no self-respecting woman should ever do. I messaged Jordan again. Just wondering if you ever think about us. He read it. He didn't reply. That was the moment it clicked. Neither of them want me. Not the man I lost, and not the ghost I tried to summon. I'm not the one that got away. I'm the one who blew up her own life and expected a parade when the dust settled. I don't get closure. I get karma. I don't know what I thought would happen. That he'd see me in person, hear the crack in my voice and maybe soften? That he'd remember all the good stuff. Our couch dance parties, the dumb nicknames, the way I used to fall asleep mid-movie with my legs tangled over his, and feel something? Honestly, I thought proximity would fix everything. So I waited. I knew when he got off work where he parked the back entrance he used to avoid traffic. I wasn't even pretending anymore. I stood near the exit like some emotionally unstable groupie, gripping the straps of my bag like they might anchor me to some last shred of dignity. He walked out around 5:40. Right on schedule, head down, earbuds in, keys swinging from his lanyard. That same olive jacket, he still hadn't tossed it. Something about that made my throat tighten. Derek. He looked up, pulled one earbud out, squinted against the sun. Hey. Not cold. Not curious. Just bland. Like seeing a coworker from a job you quit badly. I've been trying to reach you. I know. Silence. That's when I realized he wasn't going to fill it. That was up to me. I just wanted to talk. To explain. He nodded slightly like he'd expected this. You can say whatever you need to say. Not we can talk. Just you can talk. I should have caught that earlier. I didn't mean it. I started heart pounding, words running faster than sense. The thing I said about Jordan, about him being bigger, I was angry. I was pushing your buttons. I thought if I poked hard enough you'd push back. He stayed quiet. And maybe that makes me a terrible person, but it wasn't about him. It was about feeling like you weren't seeing me anymore. Like I was shrinking next to someone who always feels so sure of himself, so stable, that there's no room for me to take up space. Still nothing. I miss chaos. I thought I missed passion. But I didn't. I missed attention. And instead of telling you that, I hurt you. I said the one thing I knew would make you question everything. He nodded slowly, eyes on mine. And for a second, a blink, I saw something soften. But then he spoke. I did question everything. His voice wasn't angry. That's what killed me. If he'd yelled, cursed, even laughed in my face, I could have survived it. But this, calm devastation? I wasn't built for that. You used to talk about Jordan like he was a trauma, he said. Like the relationship left bruises. I never asked for details. I just tried to be different. To be the opposite. Predictable. Safe. Yours. He paused, and his mouth pressed into that firm line I knew meant he was biting back more than he wanted to say. But that night, you weaponized the one person I promised myself I'd never be. I didn't mean. I know, he interrupted. That's the worst part. I think you didn't mean it. I think you just say things to win. And I finally realized I don't want to be someone you have to win against. I looked down at my hands. My nails were chipped, my thumb trembling slightly. I didn't know what to say to that. Because he was right. I had been trying to win. At the cost of everything. I'm not asking for things to go back, I whispered. Just give me a chance to apologize. Properly. He tilted his head slightly, then looked away like he was calculating the emotional math of this moment. You are apologizing, he said. But not for me. For you. I blinked. What? You need the closure. The relief of saying it out loud. That's fine. I'm letting you have it. But don't mistake that for me still being in this. There was no heat in his voice. Just a brutal kind of clarity. I loved you. I really did, he added softer. But I think I started loving the version of you that only shows up after she's done the damage. I don't know what kind of face I made, but it must have said please in 100 different languages. He looked at me one last time. Full eyes steady, and then, take care, Haley. And just like that, he put his earbud back in and walked away. Not a glance back. Not a pause at the door. Nothing. I stayed rooted to the sidewalk for 10 full minutes, stunned by how easy it is to become irrelevant to someone who once memorized how you take your coffee and kissed your forehead every time you left the house. On the way home, I didn't cry. That came later, curled up in bed with my own echo replaying over and over. At least he was bigger. In every way. What a thing to say. What a small, stupid, irreversible thing to say. And the worst part? Even Jordan wouldn't have taken me back. It's been 3 months. No grand gestures. No knock on the door. No slow-motion reunion at a coffee shop where we lock eyes and everything clicks back into place. Derek's not like that, and now I finally understand he never was. He was steady. And that was the problem, wasn't it? I mistook steady for passive. I thought his silence during arguments meant weakness, not restraint. I confused safety with stagnation. And then I weaponized that confusion in the most permanent way possible. Sometimes I replay it not because I want to but because I can't help it. It sneaks in at night just as I'm drifting off. The way he looked at me after I said it. Not furious, not even shocked. Just hollow. Like something inside him had gone quiet for good. I remember that split second where I could have said I was sorry, made a joke to soften it, reached for his hand, something. But I didn't. I let it hang there like a punchline. And he left. What do you do with that? I'll tell you what I did. I spiraled. Hard. I tried being busy. Signed up for yoga again. Joined a new co-working space to reset my energy. Whatever that means. Got new nails. Got new sheets. Told everyone I was fine, thriving really. It's for the best, I'd say, like I'd outgrown him. But at night I'd lie in those clean sheets, staring at the phone that wouldn't light up. And that silence. It wasn't empowering. It was punishment. And the worst part? I was the one swinging the whip. I even went back to Jordan. Not physically, we haven't spoken. But emotionally, mentally, I let myself fall into that toxic nostalgia trap. Scrolling through old photos. Rereading those chaotic texts where he'd disappear and come back like a storm you knew was dangerous but missed anyway. I tried to find meaning in the mess, like maybe I hadn't been completely wrong to compare them. But here's the thing, I was wrong. Deeply. Because Jordan may have been fire, but Derek was the house that fire would have burned down. He was the walls, the roof, the damn foundation. And I walked out of that house because I thought maybe fire felt more exciting. Let me say that again. I left the safest love I ever had because I wanted something that looked good in photos and felt urgent in the moment. And now I'm paying for it. His friends don't talk to me. The few mutuals we had have gently phased me out. Even my own circle's gone quieter, more cautious. Like they've recalibrated how much of me they trust. Like they're scared of catching the same self-destructive bug that took me down. I can't even say they're wrong. I've started therapy. Finally. And if you're hoping for the classic redemption arc, this isn't it. I'm not some glowing success story with a new love and a profound quote about growth. I'm just someone sitting across from a stranger every Tuesday trying to untangle the knot of why I keep breaking things I love. Why I need power more than peace. Why I've never learned to just be still with someone who stays. We talked last week about self-sabotage. How some people light the match and others just stand too close to people holding them. Me? I set the fire and act surprised when I smell smoke. I laughed when she said that, too loud, too bitter. She just nodded and said, that's usually how it starts. I don't stalk his socials anymore. That was a hard line I had to draw. But I still check once in a while to see if he's changed his profile picture. He hasn't. Same quiet smile, same soft eyes. The ones I used to kiss goodnight without realizing they were looking at me like I was the whole damn world. And now? Now I sit with it. With the loss, the regret, the echo of my own voice saying something I can't unsay. That's the worst part of this. The permanence. You think you'll get another chance. You think love is elastic and people stretch until they snap back. But sometimes they just snap. I see couples now at restaurants in the park, doing laundry together, and I wonder if they know. If they understand how fragile it all is. How one moment, one phrase, one careless sentence can unravel years. Not with a bang. Not with a fight. Just a slow, surgical cut to the thing that held you together. So here's my takeaway, for whatever it's worth. Don't test the people who love you just to see how far they'll bend. Because the day they decide not to, the day they choose dignity over devotion, you don't get that version of them back. And if you're anything like me, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering how someone so solid slipped right through your hands and why you were so busy trying to feel powerful, you didn't realize you were already loved.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.